Welcome back to another episode of the Million Dollar Body Podcast. I'm Coach Nate, and if you're here, it's probably because you're a high performer, real estate agent, or business owner that is interested in maximizing your physique, your finances, and your family time using fitness and nutrition as a force multiplier in your life. If you're not a part of the Facebook community, definitely go to n8trainingsystems.com/group. That's where we stream these podcast episodes every Monday, and you can join in and ask questions. There's a ton of cool things happening, a lot of brand new content going up in the group right now. So anyways, go to n8trainingsystems.com/group to join us there. If you're already in the group and you're watching this live, we're excited to have you because today we're going to be talking about how to go from a soft stomach to a six-pack. So basically, like, how do you lose that last 20 pounds? How do you get to the point where you can actually see visible abs? What are the steps that need to be taken? Because a lot of people talk about dropping weight, losing fat, but not very often are we actually talking about how do you reveal your abs if this has ever been a goal for you. So I wanted to go into that today. And so we're excited that you're here and you're ready to learn a little bit about this. But before we get started, one of the things we like to do is give a shout out to the people in accomplishing big things here in the Million Dollar Body community. I want to shout out right now, my boy, James P. Engel. He's absolutely crushing it. He's rocking his 75 hard right now. He's released a ton of weight in the last few months, and he's been incredibly consistent with getting his workouts in and staying dialed in on his nutrition. So join me in congratulating James P. on getting it done. So super proud of you on that one. Also got to say, give it up to James Goodman, absolutely dominating. And what he's really doing an excellent job of is not necessarily needing to be perfect every week. He's taking imperfect action. And what I love to see in James is that he's getting a little bit better every time he shows up. Every single time he's getting 1% better, just a little bit better. And I know that with that kind of progress over time, you just are an unstoppable force and you can't lose. So let's congratulate the Jameses. It's the James episode today on some of their amazing progress. So basically, let's jump right into what could be arguably one of the shortest podcasts. I mean, I do feel like I'll find a way to drag it out and tell stories that are very, very loosely related to the actual concept of going from a soft stomach to a six-pack today. But there's two things that you need to do, right? These are not going to surprise anyone. You might even be like, "What? I showed up for this. I'm going to turn it off." But you need to change your nutrition and you need to change your fitness, and in two very specific ways. Because you can drop 100 pounds, 200 pounds by just adding in a little bit more, by walking a little bit more, by eating a few less carbohydrates, less processed foods. You can change your body with those techniques. But to get a six-pack, to go from soft to six-pack, you need to change something very, very specific, okay? So I want to talk about the training piece first, okay? Because getting a six-pack is difficult, right? Same thing as building a business. It's the same thing as creating something worth having in your family life, in your business, in your physique. Not everyone's walking around with visible abs because it's challenging, all right? But I'm gonna give you the one technique that if you come to me and you're like, "Hey, I can only do one type of exercise to get abs. What should I do?" First and foremost, and if you've been in a Million Dollar Body group for any amount of time, you know it's gotta be hill sprints. And here's why. Hill sprints are the literal hardest thing on the planet. What's amazing about them is that you sprint as hard as you possibly can. And if you're on a substantial hill, then the hill is literally pulling you back down. You're not able to go as fast as you can. So you're able to exert a ton of energy and still not go super fast, which sounds kind of backwards, right? We would like to, if we're going to put out all that energy, why don't we just go a little faster, right? But the thing about the hill sprints is that they trigger something so visceral in our bodies, because running away at top speed is not something that normal people do. Running as fast as you possibly can from the bottom to the top of the hill is not a normal activity for regular people that just want to, have a nice time and watch more Maury and enjoy their weekends. That's not what normal folks do, y'all. This is abnormal behavior. I'm here for it. Here for that abnormal, strange activity, as long as it is geared towards getting me some kind of results. So I have always been kind of obsessed with that limit. Like how can you push yourself into doing something ridiculously hard and get to the point where you are at the end of your mental ability to deal with something, to push through, and then can you take it one step further? And I've experienced this a couple times. Like one of the hardest mental emotional things I've ever done was going door to door selling books in rural Ohio. That shit sucked balls. It was horrible. And it was every single day it was like, man, I do not want to walk and knock on this door. I do not want to knock on this door. I do not want to go live on Facebook. Hey, Mrs. Jones, yeah, here with some book stuff. You want to buy some for your kids to be better at school? Every single minute of that was hard. It was difficult. It was challenging. And I worked 13 and a half hour days, 6 days per week. It was definitely a struggle. And towards the end of the summer, some of that kind of that early on, because I did this over a summer between my sophomore and junior years of college. Some of that early on kind of just like grit and fortitude fell off for me. It just fell off. I just stopped being quite as mentally tough. So I like to find things to do that are just difficult, because I think that like going to that end range where you really are finding your own version of hard and then proving to yourself that you can do it and do it over again, I think it's very, very satisfying. And it also lets your brain, your body know that like, hey, I'm actually in charge. I won't be dictated when I'm finished or what I'm capable of or where the line is. I'll tell you where the line is, not my lungs, not my brain, not my comfort level, right? We're trying to push ourselves out of that comfort level because comfort is normal, especially in this day and age. And like extreme discomfort over long periods of time is not normal. Another example is I got the chance to go to Panama and work on a small island farm where we were doing some logging, essentially. So we had bought this tree. It was about 100-foot tall tree, about 3/4 to a mile deep in the jungle on this little path, this little dirt path that went through this, like through some mud here. This one, now you walked across this 2x4 across a pond. Now you're ducking under these trees. We finally get to the tree, and the guy I'm working for, he cuts it down over a period of about an hour and a half. We chop this tree down. It falls in the forest. Great contributor to the deforestation of the Amazon. You know, that was a new one for me. That was a bucket list thing, I guess. I don't know. So anyways, with a chainsaw, this guy magically cuts the bark off the top, cuts the bark off the sides, and then cuts this tree into big sections. So each section is about 10 feet long, about 6 to 8 inches is wide, and then about another 6 inches thick or so. These, I didn't bring a scale with me. These probably weighed somewhere between 120 and 180 pounds for like the really big ones. And he was like, great, your job, since you are a large American human and I don't care if you live or die, I would like you to take these logs out of the jungle to the boat where we came in on. We'd have this little outboard motor, just like little dinghy. And so I was like, okay, I guess this will just be something that I do to get stronger. And it was pure suffering. It was some of the most intense physical suffering I've ever experienced. And it was really interesting in that way, because every single time I had to pick up a log and put it on my back and carry it 3/4 of a mile out of the jungle, each round of that took me about 90 minutes to walk out. It took me another 30 or so to come back in. And every single step was just, it was like I wanted to give up, I wanted to stop, but also there was this idea of well, what am I capable of? What's my, where is the line for me in this situation? Because it was like having a freshly cut, wet piece of wood just sitting on my back, dragging it out through the jungle was all kinds of uncomfortable. Trying to duck under these branches, go under this tree, navigate this 2x4 log, up and down a couple of hills, finally set this thing down at the boat, and then know I just did one of those things and there are 25 more deep in the jungle for me to carry out. It was super intense, but I thought it was such a just brutally, purely uncomfortable situation that it was so great to test my own mindset against this task, this logging experience. And for the record, the guy who cut the tree down dragged approximately 0 out. I dragged 8 out over 2 days, and it was the hardest work I've ever done in my entire life. But that's what hill sprints are. Hill sprints are the hardest work that you can basically put in. Aside from maybe like a 20 rep front squat or something where you're pausing because your legs are shaking so bad, going out and running up the hill and literally giving it 100% of your effort is just incredibly difficult. It's painful. You're breathing hard. You push yourself to that zone where you think you're going to throw up, and maybe you do, maybe you don't, but it's very visceral. It's very brutal. So that's why so few people do them, stick with them, and then make that a regular part of their routine. Now, I've talked a lot in other episodes about the science behind hill sprints, about how activating your sympathetic nervous system can make your body understand that you potentially are running away from a tiger, and to run away from a tiger better, you need to have less fat and more muscle. So I don't go too deep into the science of hill sprints, but the mental side is very important. It's the embrace of difficulty, finding something hard to do. And I firmly believe that if you just found something that was hard to do, that was outside your comfort zone every single day for the rest of your life, you would be in the shape you wanted to be in. You would have the business you wanted to have, and you'd have the family you wanted that you wanted to have as well. Because nothing good comes without a little bit of discomfort. And to do that, something difficult, especially with fitness, and in our current situation where everything is so easy. Look at the goddamn toilet in your bathroom right now. Like 1,000 years ago, they had to put that shit on an altar and worshiped it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful statue. It's a beautiful porcelain statue. It's so nice. And literally we go in there and we pee and we flush it and we're like, great, see you never. I guess I don't know where like human fecal matter ends up. I don't know anything about the system. But like, we have such easy lives. You know, if you just think about one aspect, going to the bathroom, our lives are so plush, so simple. So to find something hard to do is really a requirement for a great life. Otherwise, you're going to get tricked into the idea that wearing a mask for 15 minutes in Target is a challenging experience for you, and you shouldn't have to do it. Otherwise, you're going to get tricked into thinking that you're owed, you're entitled, that you deserve something some way, when in reality, that's generally not the case for us. We have so much and we put forth so little effort to get a lot of these things. We need to find something hard. We need to find a hard, difficult outlet to basically use as a foil for our life to remind us that we have it amazing. We have amazing lives. Everything we do, all our cars, our houses, the food we eat, it's amazing. We get fresh water anytime we want. It's amazing. Our lives are so goddamn good. We can't even see it. And that's why we need to do hard things. So I told you at the beginning of the podcast that this is supposed to be short and I'd find a way to make it long. You're welcome. All right. So hill sprints, find something goddamn hard and do it all the time. Number 2, controlling your first 2 meals of the day. Okay. So you can do this through intermittent fasting. You can do this by following glycogen priming. You can do this by only ingesting a bulletproof coffee in the morning, but making sure that you always have a go-to for your breakfast and you always know what your lunch is going to be on the other side. I literally, to drop the last 18 to 20 pounds, which is for like most guys, what they need to do anyways to get to the point where they can start seeing some visible abs, having 15 to 18 pounds, that requires some dedication to your nutrition, but it doesn't require a life sentence of counting calories, eliminating carbs, never eating any ice cream ever again. So by simply controlling your breakfast and your lunch, you can make a massive difference in how you look and feel, and still get to eat dinner with your family, and still get to have a little ice cream here or there, and get to have a drink on weekends. So a lot of these things are not either or, but we can accomplish so much by just changing our breakfast and lunches. So for example, for entrepreneurs, for business owners, people who need energy, not just in the morning, but also into that 3 p.m., they want to show up at night and not just have to crash on the couch and watch SportsCenter for 15 minutes before they can hang out with their family. Then controlling your lunch and making sure that you always nail your lunch correctly is one of the most integral things that you can do to be successful energetically throughout the day. It also has this added bonus of being a way that you can see your abs faster. Because if you just if you're eating really light in the breakfast and you're eating really light for lunch, making sure that you're getting the proper nutrients and staying just very, very slightly hungry all day, you're going to have more energy than you know what to do with. You're going to feel really good and you're going to love the way you look. So I got a couple different options in terms of how do you go from an intermittent fast into eating. There's a couple like great ways to do that. I've talked a lot about how to set up your coffee so that it's not 700 calories worth of butter, but instead you get to like have a ton of energy, more mental acuity from the way you consume your coffees, your caffeines, and your fat at the same time. So check out Optimal Body Coffee. If you have any questions about either the way to break your fast or the Optimal Body Coffee, let me know in the comments and I can set you up with the resources. Again, we're live in the $1 Million Body group right now. If you're not a member, go to n8trainingsystems.com/group to join the community. I got everything that you need in here to be incredibly successful in your health. So that's one of the big things that I find is very just rewarding about eating this way is that you don't need to hire myself or an 8-year-old or anyone else to come around and slap the ice cream out of your hand at night because you don't have self-control. You basically give yourself the beginning of the day to make really, really good choices. And what's nice is that if you do any sort of training in the day, you run your hill sprints, and then you eat the right thing for breakfast and you have the right thing for lunch and you go into dinner. Most of the time we're not thinking, you know what, I just worked out and ate really well. Let's go have 5 Cinnabons for dinner. Most of the time we start making health choices and that gets a little easier until that becomes a small part of our identity. I'm a person who makes healthy choices. I have this for lunch because I know it's great for my energy and I know it's great for my health. So we make those choices. You don't need someone to come around and be like, no popsicle. Speaking of which, I do feel like one time my wife and I we were getting some ice cream for her birthday. And we went to this little ice cream shop. I think we were in Colombia at the time. And all she wanted was ice cream. She hadn't been feeling good. She's been like kind of sick, a little altitude sickness, probably ate some weird street food or something. And so all she wanted on her birthday was to like get some ice cream. Well, we couldn't find ice cream. So we ended up in this like some sort of popsicle store where everything was just, I don't know. It looked like it straight out of like Seattle or Portland or something like that. But anyways, we get our popsicles and we're like, okay, these cool custom popsicles, very exciting. And then as I turn back around to go find a table, I slap the shit out of her hand and throw her popsicle on the ground. The only thing that she ever wanted. So you don't have to have that in your life to be successful when you're eating like this. As a follow-up to that story, as soon as I sat down on like a bar stool, I tilted it back because, I don't know why I would do that. It's not very smart. Lost my stool went out from under me. I fell on the ground. My popsicle went on the ground as well. And everyone in the entire place laughed at us. So laughed at me, I guess me, not us, but yeah, me. The last thing. So those are the 2 steps. Those are the 2 big things. You need something very, very difficult to really activate not only your mental fortitude in terms of your workouts, but also getting your body to spike and then drop back down and spike and go back down. And then if you're not doing something at least a little bit challenging, pushing yourself in your sets, in your workouts, in your cardio, whatever that looks like, it's going to be such a slow process if you even ever get there at all. The second thing you need is changing your nutrition. The best things possible you can do, especially as a business owner or an entrepreneur, is changing the first and second meal of your day and giving yourself some more flexibility on the back half of the day. The third thing, y'all, and this is the mental shift that I was talking about, is patience, Grasshopper. Patience. I heard a quote the other day that said, if you walked 10 miles into the woods, don't be surprised when it takes you 10 miles to walk out. I think a lot of us think that like, okay, I'm ready to lose some fat and I started eating healthier and I had a salad at lunch and I knocked down 10 pounds. Like that's not what I expected. That's frustrating. And so we start going like, hey, like we're talking to like the lady in accounting who dropped 40 pounds on the keto diet. And you're like, what did you do? And she's like, well, I just did keto and then just dropped weight. And you're like, did you gain it back? She's like, yeah, that's not important. So we start going to other people for outside advice, people who don't know about you, who aren't experts in fitness and nutrition, who are just people that are talking. And you're like, well, I'm looking for more information. I'm just like trying to get as much info as I possibly can. But a lot of times that's doing more harm than good because you start incorporating different things and lots of little different styles of training that maybe not that don't fit. If someone's on keto and they come to me and they're like, hey, what should I eat for a post-workout? I'm going to say, listen to your coach. I don't know what he goes on keto post-workout. Like that's not my area of expertise. So I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to help you derail your progress by trying to think that I'm so smart that I know exactly everything about you, your goals, and your current strategies. So if something's working for you, stay the course and don't look back. But looking back is kind of like, it's human nature, right? We're not getting the result we want, so we look back around. And there's a story in the Bible of Lot. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but basically him and his family are getting kicked out of the city. And God, for whatever reason, is like, listen, you can get out. I'm gonna burn this whole city down. I'm gonna burn this mother to the ground. I'll burn this mother to the ground. And he's like, and you guys are fine. You guys get out of the city. Don't stress. But the only thing is, don't look back at the city. For whatever reason, don't look at it. And they're like, okay, so you're going to let us out of the city. We're good to walk out. You're going to burn this mother to the ground. And all we have to do is not look back. And he's like, that's it. That's it. That's all you got to do. And so if you're familiar with the story, you probably know how it ends. And if you're not familiar with the story, you probably still know how it ends. So Lot and his wife and his daughters, they're all walking out of the city and they're up on a hill. And what does Lot's wife do? She's like, well, what's going on in the city? She looks around and God's like, bitch, you salt. You salt. Turns her into a pillar of salt. And that's just human nature. We always want to look back around. We want to look at what's going on. What is this person doing? Where is this coming from? What's the next, like, what did you do? But if you can just stay patient and do that, like exactly like I talked about with James early on, that 1% better every single day, staying the course and relieving there's like the anxiety and like demand for instant satisfaction, instant gratification that all of us deal with. As I was losing like 18 pounds or so over the last 3 months, I dealt with that too. I was like, well, I'm a trainer. I should be just easy to drop fat. Just no problem for me. Like I should just be where I want to be like tomorrow. And I know better. I know way better because I've talked about this ad nauseum so many times and talked to so many clients who are like, yes, the program's working. It's too slow, but it is working. And what can we do now to, like, what else can I add? I'm like, hold on, it's working. So just stay the course, be patient. To like delete that little nagging voice that's telling you you're not doing enough. You could be getting better results if you just added in 1 scoop of lemon water to your, I don't even know. But I say that to encourage you that this is human nature. This is something that we all deal with. And this is not new either. So your trainer does it. Lot's wife does it. Everyone does this thing. Everyone is looking around for more, better, different, faster. When in reality, if we just stayed the course, if we just knew that, hey, it's 10 miles to walk in, it's 10 miles to walk out, and you just followed up and continue to move forward, you're going to get to your destination. So hard ass work, challenge those first 2 meals of the day, make sure that those are reflecting of your goals. So I talked about how to do that as a business owner or an entrepreneur, what the best options are for that. Staying nice and light, staying even a tiny bit hungry, very helpful. And then patience. Don't stress about today's outcome, tomorrow's outcome. Only stress about those behaviors and keep your head down and keep doing the work. If you do those 3 things, you will be unstoppable. You might not have a 6-pack today or tomorrow or the next day, but I guarantee you this next year, 12 months from now, you're going to be rocking that at the beach and people are going to be like, what did you do? And you can tell them, not keto. All right, y'all. Hopefully this was a helpful experience for you. I didn't tell too many strange stories or get too verbose, but if I did, I'm not sorry. Thanks so much for checking out the $1 Million Body Podcast. Make sure you like it, subscribe to it, tell your friends about it, write a long letter to your Aunt Gertrude, because I don't think you've seen her recently, to be honest with you. I don't even think you saw her before COVID. So make sure you write her a letter, tell her about the podcast, tell her where to go to get more from it. And then if you're not a member of the $1 Million Body group on Facebook, make sure you go to join by going to n8trainingsystems.com/group. That'll get you there. I'll see you on the other side. Have a great day.